This conference
Hi.
will now be recorded.
SICW fans, NWA fam, how are we doing tonight? Whoa, whoa, whoa. You got it. I'm your host for Certified Wrestling Podcast, episode number 4. Certified Hustler, the roving reporter for SICW. Legendary wrestler, Big Texan from SICW. And Belleville's hottest wrestler, Bobby D. What's up, fellas?
Not much, sir. How's it going today?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty good. You guys, I know we just had a major event in Spooktacular. We're going to get to that in a couple days, but there's something more important. I talked, actually, you guys didn't know about this. Earlier today, I talked to Travis Cook on the phone. As you guys know too well, that's Attila Khan's manager for the people that don't know that. Attila Khan, the one that's going to be facing the World Heavyweight Champion, Trevor Murdoch, the NWA Heavyweight Champion. Our champion, the Classic Champion, the Heritage Champion, the St. Louis Champion, Attila Khan. So I want to get to him because he doesn't like being put on hold very long, as y'all know.
You got him on the phone?
Yes, I do. He has something to say. So I'm going to take him off hold. Hold on. Give me about 3 seconds. I'm going to push this button. Travis, you there?
Yes, I'm here. You had me on hold for however long there, so get to whatever you're going to do.
Oh.
Just like him.
Travis, sorry.
I don't have all night here.
Okay, Travis, you're the one that told me you had something to say. So go ahead and you had some stuff on your mind earlier. You were telling me on the phone, and I'll have some questions for you after. I'm just gonna let you go, man. It was very intense on the phone, and I think the world should hear it. So what do you got?
Well, of course it was intense. It's always intense when Attila Khan is involved, and I've got to tell you that I'm looking more and more forward as the days go by to December 1st at the Viking Lounge, the Holiday Inn, St. Louis, Missouri, for the NWA World Title match and for Attila Khan to become the new World's Heavyweight Champion. Nobody knows Trevor Murdoch the way that Attila Khan does. They've got history together that I think Murdoch is trying to kind of sweep under the rug. I don't think he wants the public to know about that all that much, but whether he wants people to know about it or not, there's nobody that has a bigger history of beating up Trevor Murdoch and leaving him laying than Attila Khan does. And December the 1st, it's all going to be exposed, man. It's all going to be exposed. So I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. Attila Khan is in intense training right now, although the way he trains is a lot different than the way a lot of conventional athletes train. I'm in intense preparation right now, strategy, and frankly, this is all coming together.
Well, Travis, I think I speak for most of the SICW locker room where we don't agree with a lot of stuff you do, but we're excited to see him bring that title back to our locker room.
Well, I'm sure you are, because I think, let's face it, we all understand in the wrestling business, whoever has the world title, the place that they call home, the place that they wrestle most often, is probably going to be first on the list for world title matches. So Bobby, I understand you're not being complimentary in the sense that you want the hometown boy to win. You see this as a chance for your career to maybe back your way into a world title shot at some point. Granted, you would have to go through a lot of contenders to get there, my man. But I admire the chutzpah. If nothing else,
Bobby's kind of going through your little organization right now.
Mid-Atlantic, right? So I see where you're coming from. So I'll take that as it is. But rest assured, whether you support us or not, we are focused on winning the NWA title. It's going to happen on December the 1st.
That's it. Why do you think? Let me just back this up for a second. Why do you think Attila Khan deserves a shot at the NWA World Title, Travis?
Well, it's very simple. For 3 years, he's gone all over this country, not just here in SICW. He's gone all over this country, and not one man anywhere in this country has been able to stand up to it. This man has beaten everybody he's come in the ring with. He's had trouble getting matches sometimes, but when he's gotten people like Bushwhacker Luke in the ring in the middle of a baseball stadium in Jackson, Tennessee, he beat Bushwhacker Luke. Haku just the other night in Belleville, Illinois, a man who's universally regarded as the single toughest man in pro wrestling. Haku fell to Attila Khan in a no disqualification match, which supposedly was right up his alley. So everybody Attila Khan has gotten into the ring with, he's whooped him. He's beaten him. Nobody's come close. He was in a tournament for the Classic Wrestling Championship a few months ago. He walked right through that tournament. So you get to a point where there's just not much left in terms of people to face him. So the only thing that makes sense is to call out the world's heavyweight champion. We've done that. The world champion, Trevor Murdoch, did accept, or he felt like he had no other choice. I'm not sure. But whatever it was, he signed the contract. So this is the natural evolution.
Okay, going off that, you sound very excited about this as us, but I know you're more excited. You've been in preparation. How many years did you tell me the other day? 30 years you've been thinking about this day and night about how you're going to obtain the World Heavyweight Championship?
Well, let me give you a little timeline here. I've been a manager in professional wrestling for over 20 years, 20 glorious years of a lot of success. But my time in terms of having my eye on the managerial profession goes back over 30 years, back to when I was probably 14 years old and watching wrestling. As I told you the other night, I could look around when I was 14 years old. I could look around at the men in my family and see that they all were about 5'7", 5'8", 160, 180 pounds, somewhere around there. And of course, back in that era, the 1980s, if you weren't 6'4" and 240 pounds, you were not getting into the wrestling business. There just was no way around it. So understanding that the men in my family did not have the genetics to get into professional wrestling, I started looking at other things. And I saw James J. Dillon on TV managing the world champion and riding around the country in limousines and flying in Learjets and making an absolute ton of money. And I said, that's what I want to do. That's going to be my road to riches. I'll become a manager. I mean, back in those days, even as a teenager, I understood that I had a pretty good mind for business in general. And I was a pretty smart guy. I always did well in school. So I figured that would be the way to do it. So I did get into professional wrestling. I've had a lot of success for 20 years, but the goal was always to win the NWA World title and to manage the NWA World Champion, because I knew if I did that, that was the best way to get disgustingly wealthy. And that's been the goal all along. So when Attila Khan beats Trevor Murdoch and I start cashing those World Championship checks, I will be able to live the lifestyle I have deserved all along.
Do you think that Attila Khan can beat and take this and do what you're saying he's going to be able to do on December 1st in St. Louis?
I don't have a doubt he can do it. I haven't seen anybody put his shoulders to the mat for 3 years. I haven't seen anybody beat him. And then you add to it the history that he's had with Trevor way back when Harley Race was training Trevor Murdoch and training Attila Khan, and the run-ins they had back then, and Trevor Murdoch always ended up on the short end of that stick. So frankly, I couldn't be in a better position. Attila Khan couldn't be in a better position. I don't want to sound overconfident here, but everything is on our side right now. Everything is on our side.
Right.
So Travis, I got a question for you. Say Attila does win the championship. Trevor's already got some bookings lined up. Is Attila going to be a fighting champion? Is he going to accept all comers, or is he just going to run, get the belt and retire?
Well, you already know the answer to that question, because Attila Khan is already the Classic Wrestling Champion. He's been a fighting champion with that belt. So the NWA World title would be no different, just on a much larger and grandiose scale. One thing right out of the gate you mentioned is the bookings that Trevor Murdoch already has. A lot of fans don't know, and maybe Texan, you don't know because you've never been in a world championship situation. Hey, the truth is the truth. But what a lot of fans don't know is that whenever a title changes hands, particularly a world title, particularly an NWA world title, the rule has always been that the new champion picks up the bookings of the former champion. So you may be seeing Trevor Murdoch advertised as defending the world title in other places after December 1st. That's fine. That's how the business works. But when Attila Khan wins the world title, it will be Attila Khan taking those matches around the country and around the world. That's conventionally how it works. That's how it's always operated. That's how all the other NWA world champions have done it. We will be no different, and I'm anxious for the challenge.
So what you're saying is we can possibly see Attila on the next NWA pay-per-view that's coming up.
December 4th.
Well, let's put the world champion on it, see why he wouldn't be there. Can a wrestling organization have a pay-per-view without their world champion? That would be pretty tough to do. So
They don't have any matches advertised for that show yet. Just to let you guys know, they have one match, Scion versus Tyrus. the world title match has not been announced for that show yet because Attila Khan versus Trevor Murdoch December 1st has not happened yet. That's why.
Well, that's smart on their part. That's a rarity that you see a wrestling organization have that kind of foresight, because usually, especially with national level organizations, you'll see them announce matches way out, weeks or even months ahead of time, while there's still title defenses to go before that. So I'm glad to see the NWA is taking this into account, and they are at least, even though they're not going to come out and say it, they are at least taking into account this world title match before they make any announcements about future matches. But that being said, I know there are some matches out there that Trevor Murdoch probably has, and contracts and so forth just haven't been announced publicly, and that's fine. Whenever Attila beats Trevor Murdoch, we'll take those contracts, we'll take those appearances, and we'll defend the world title against all the contenders. And then guys like Big Texan and Bobby D can sit back and watch.
Oh, but let me ask you this real quick. Well, are you scared that that Trevor Murdoch's going to get his hands on you as much talking as you've been doing?
Was I scared that Haku was going to get his hands on me? Have I been scared of anybody else getting their hands on me? Absolutely not.
Nope.
You know, when you have Attila Khan standing in front of you, you don't have to worry about any other human being walking planet Earth, whether he's the world's heavyweight champion, whether he's the toughest man in wrestling like Haku, or whether he's anybody else. Now, if Trevor Murdoch has it in his mind that he's going to lay a hand on me, then as far as I'm concerned, I'm kind of glad that his focus is off of Attila Khan, because that means he's going to open himself up for Attila Khan to beat him. The only way, well, I'm not going to say the only way you can beat Attila Khan, because I don't think you can beat Attila Khan, but the only chance a person could have is if they were 100% focused on the International Bounty Hunter. If you got your focus on me, or you got your focus on Mike Bennett being another challenger down the road, or whoever else, well then you're leaving yourself wide open. Frankly, I hope Trevor Murdoch is focused on any number of other things other than Attila Khan. If he's focused on getting his hands on me, I hope he's focused on that. He's never going to get a chance to do it, but go ahead and focus on that. That plays right into my hands.
It's one of those tricks he's got up his sleeve. He'll probably try to interfere in that match somehow.
Right, Bobby, you got a question for him, right?
I'm just sitting back and enjoying this spewing of information.
But didn't Texan say something about interference? Have you heard something? Is Trevor Murdoch planning on having someone interfere for him in that match? Is that what you were getting at?
No, I'm just getting at that I know, and I've seen your matches with Attila and your little organization, and I know there's always some sort of trick up your sleeve that you always pull. So I'm just thinking that you might plan on interfering in that match to get Trevor Murdoch.
No. I do not have a reputation as someone who interferes in wrestling matches. I know some other managers around have had that reputation. I have never had that reputation. I'm not known for interfering in wrestling matches. I don't do it. I stand at ringside like an extremely interested bystander, and that's all. I don't have any intention on interfering in the match between Attila Khan and Trevor Murdoch, and moreover, I don't have to interfere in that match because Attila Khan for years has proven that he's better than Trevor Murdoch. All I have to do is stand there at ringside, give a little bit of encouragement, and maybe a little coaching point here or there if it's needed. But I don't have to interfere, and it's beneath me to interfere anyway. I wouldn't do it.
See,
I
James,
will say, as someone that has felt that heart punch from Attila during that tournament that was spoke of earlier, I do think Attila can get the job done.
well, I'm just saying that Travis has a nickname, and it's Travis the Crook Cook.
Well,
So
I know that all too well. You know, I've been playing with another one of his organization members, Fender, a lot lately.
I heard Travis say,
There's a lot of people out there and a lot of people in the media that will give nicknames to people that they don't really deserve. That's all a bunch of hype. I have, for years, conducted myself in a very above-the-board manner. There's no doubt about that. But Bobby did manage to stumble into a good point there regarding the heart punch. You have seen great wrestlers fall to that heart punch. And, of course, there's been in the past some question about whether it's legal or not. It is a legal maneuver. I've had it checked out by the lawyers and everything. It is a legal maneuver. I'm not sure if the NWA is going to try some kind of chicanery, but as far as I've seen by looking through their bylaws, The heart punch is legal in the NWA too. And Trevor Murdoch, I don't care how big and bad you are. I don't care if you've been on the biggest stages in our business. I don't care how long and how proud you've carried the NWA world title. If you get hit with one heart punch, it's over. And I don't just mean your title reign. I mean maybe your wrestling career. When you get hit with a heart punch, you don't get up. That's it.
They have a wrestler on their roster named Tyrus. Everybody's familiar with him. He's on the Fox News, their TV title holder. He uses the heart punch.
So I don't have to worry about a disqualification then. If he uses it, it's legal there. That's fine. Not that I thought it wasn't, but I'm always on the lookout for any kind of promoter trying to pull a trick on me and trying to claim something's illegal that it's not. I mean, I've had them around here. I've had them claim that throwing people over the top rope is illegal all of a sudden. I've had them say all kinds of things on me out here in SICW. So I've had to keep an eye on that sort of thing here all along. I just wanted to make sure the NWA wouldn't try something like that on me.
Well, quick question. I heard you say that two-part question here. Tonight on Hannibal TV on a podcast, Trevor Murdoch openly challenged AEW superstar Dustin Rhodes. Tonight.
Okay.
What would happen if Attila Khan beats, what you're saying is going to happen December 1st in St. Louis at the in the Viking Room against Attila Khan? What happens when Attila Khan beats Trevor Murdoch and obtains both titles and brings them into your organization? Does Steve Fender openly challenge Attila Khan?
I'm not sure what you're trying to stir up here.
No.
When Attila Khan wins the world's heavyweight title, obviously he's gonna look at all of the, and I'm gonna look on his behalf at all of the top contenders, and I'm gonna sign matches where they make sense and where there's frankly the most money to be made. Now,
Right.
I'm not sure if you're trying to stir up something within the organization, but everybody in the Travis Cook organization has a very important role to play. I've got plans for superstar Steve Fender that involves some titles of his own, so I don't foresee any sort of issue there. Now about Dustin, I think you mentioned Dustin Rhodes. Was that it earlier?
Yes.
I've not had any dealings with Dustin Rhodes, but if his name is already on a contract with Trevor Murdoch, I don't know if it is, but if his name is on a contract with Trevor Murdoch, we take that contract happily. That's fine.
It's a challenge. Trevor said that he would want those two companies to come together to make that happen. He said that tonight. So.
Hey, I don't have any problem with that. If some other company wants to pay us a whole heck of a lot of money to defend the world title, I'm all for it. That's why we're chasing the world title, is to make as much money as we possibly can. Yes, the NWA is a huge part of that, and if other organizations want to get on board and start writing me checks, that's perfectly fine too. I'll go on record right now as saying, speaking on behalf of Attila Khan, he will defend the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship anywhere, any place that the money's right. Any kind of promoter that can come up with enough zeros on the back of that check, we're willing to listen.
I know that's right, boss. So, big Jim Texan here and Bobby D were at Spooktacular. Big Texan and Bobby D both were stars at that show, and Bobby D and Big Texan wanted to go after that Central States title, but I'm hearing their sights are now set on that match to watch front and center December 1st because they might have some new interest in mind.
Well, I'm
That's
sure
what I
they
said
will be
before. The
watching.
whole locker room is going to be watching this one. Everybody's going to be pulling for Attila. Like him or not, we want him to bring the title back.
Yeah, everybody's going to be pulling for Attila Khan because we're the most popular people in SICW. There's no doubt about that. I mean, this is just like when Dusty Rhodes would wrestle for the world title out here, and everybody would cheer him. Everybody's going to be cheering Attila Khan and Travis Cook on December 1st, and I understand why. And, you know, from the career perspective, as I said earlier, I understand that Bobby D figures if the world heavyweight champion wrestles in SICW, maybe sometime down the road, if he puts together enough of a record, maybe he could get a world title shot. It'd be easier for him here than if he had to go chase him. Same thing with Big Texan. Now, frankly, in both cases, it's going to take both those guys a long time to beat enough contenders to get into world title contention as far as I'm concerned. But I can't fault them for having that outlook and for dreaming and for trying to go that route. So I'm sure that they'll be rooting for us, but I know the fans will be rooting for us as well. Because the fans love Attila Khan, and the fans here in St. Louis absolutely love Travis Cook. We are their heroes. We are their favorites. So
Whoa.
I can see crowd support on December 1st, not unlike what Mark McGuire used to get in this town back in his heyday. Everybody went out and just was on bated breath to watch Mark McGuire break the home run record. Well, everybody in St. Louis is going to be waiting with bated breath to see Attila Khan take the heavyweight championship of the world. It's going to be a great night in St. Louis sports history. And judging by what some of the professional sports teams in this town have done lately, this town could use a great sports moment once again.
Well,
I might have to find my book. This stuff's getting pretty deep.
right, your best friend, promoter Herb Simmons, your boss that writes those zeros behind those checks, he is, I'm not sure, I'm still don't have a real good twist on this. He's the man in SICW, but does he want you to beat Trevor Murdoch?
I'm not sure what Herb Simmons wants, and frankly, I haven't spent more than 30 seconds in the last 10 years worrying about what Herb Simmons wants. You did get one thing wrong. You said he's my boss. He's not. I'm my own boss. I happen to manage wrestlers in an organization that he operates, but that doesn't make him my boss. Now, whether he wants Attila to win the world title or not probably comes down to his perspective. And I've seen over the years, I've seen promoters fall into a couple of different camps with this. Some promoters, when they have a man in their roster who's contending for the world title, some of them take a pragmatic approach to it. And they realize, kind of like some of the wrestlers do, that if their wrestler wins the world title, that it's more likely that they're going to have world title matches in their own promotion. That's good for the bottom line. That's good for the money for everybody around. But some other promoters will take the other side of it and assume that when their man wins the world title, he's going to go off and never be seen again. And so maybe they're against it for that reason. I don't know what camp Herb Simmons is in. I've always questioned his judgment many times in the past, so I wouldn't speculate on which side of that argument he's going to take. But that's not my problem anyway. When Attila Khan takes the world title, as I said earlier, we will gladly defend it anywhere for any promoter that has enough zeros on the check. If Herb Simmons wants to write a big enough check for world title matches in this area, we will be thrilled to defend it here. If some other promoter outbids him, we will be thrilled to go somewhere else and defend it there. So we're open for business. That's the short way I can say it. We're open for business. Everybody open their checkbooks and let's see what kind of proposals you have.
Travis, I got a question. And maybe you can make it clear for all of us too. Is Attila's title on the line? Is this a title versus title? Is this just for the NWA championship? If Attila just so happens to lose, does he lose his title? Can you give us a little bit of the details?
Well, to me, that's very simple. I have never signed a contract to put the Classic Wrestling title on the line against Trevor Murdoch. And if you look at history, that's not how it's ever worked in NWA world title matches in the past. If you look, for example, at the history of St. Louis wrestling, all the years that we had the Missouri State champion here, and the Missouri State champion at that time was viewed as the stepping stone to the NWA world title. If, let's say, Kevin Von Erich was the Missouri State champion, and he wrestled Harley Race for the NWA world title at the Kiel Auditorium, it was only Race's NWA world title that was on the line. And by rule, the world heavyweight champion couldn't even couldn't even defend a regional title anyway while being the world champion. I don't believe NWA bylaws allow that, so it's a moot point. You know, our title would not be on the line. There would be no reason for it to be on the line. We have everything to gain and nothing to lose in this situation.
All right.
Well, speaking of nothing to lose, you had mentioned taking over bookings if you win. Are you worried about Pete Matting, the human wrecking ball, taking Attila's booking after he beats him this weekend?
What, Pete? Are you serious? Did you really think Pete Madden's going to have a shot at him? After everything you've seen Attila Khan do for 2 or 3 years, you think Pete Madden's got a shot at him? I mean, Pete Madden was great in his day, absolutely, and he was one of the pioneers of what they call hardcore wrestling, no doubt. But he ain't got a shot against Attila Khan. After what he did to Haku, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was a good match.
I don't know. He's a legend in this book.
He did his best here, but Nothing's going to derail Attila Khan from getting in the ring with Trevor Murdoch and taking the NWA title. That just isn't going to happen.
I've had a front row for a while now of watching Attila Khan, and I believe him, guys. I happen to believe him. You guys are his peer, and you guys have been in matches with him, Bobby, recently. How do you feel that his chances are against the world heavyweight champion, honestly?
I have never fought Attila Khan. Our paths has never crossed. So, all I can say is I hope the best for Attila, just because I want that belt in our locker room, just to have an opportunity to eventually work my way up, like Travis says, to get to it. But I'll pass it on to Bobby since he actually had a match with him
recently.
Well, yeah, I had that match in the SICW Championship tournament. He was a little deceiving and hiding under that mask, calling himself War Machine, but I mean that doesn't take away his skills or anything. And that heart punch, that'll take anybody down. Trevor, anybody else, it doesn't matter. There's no pain like that.
So you guys are both on board thinking that. So I got two for Attila Khan right now, 3 with Travis, 4 with me, and 0 for Trevor. I mean, we are the home team, but we're being realistic. I say Attila Khan takes it too. I'm going to put a poll up on Twitter and YouTube and see what the fans think.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to come down to it, I would say Attila just because he's got that hardcore edge to him. And we haven't really seen a hardcore edge come out of Trevor. So,
right. He said he's got it. He said that's the difference between him and Nick Aldis. Travis, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening to you all pontificate here. And I don't get me wrong. I've heard a couple of you guys say you don't think Trevor Murdoch's got a hardcore edge. You got to understand, I do my homework and I know exactly what I'm going into before I go into anything. I've studied Trevor Murdoch probably a lot more than the 3 of you have. If I hadn't studied him, I wouldn't have ever made this challenge to begin with. So I know a lot more about Trevor Murdoch than he knows about me. I'll guarantee you that right now. And right. I can tell you, Trevor Murdoch can fight. I don't have any doubt about that. Trevor Murdoch can fight. He can go toe-to-toe with almost anyone in this business. But he can't go toe-to-toe with Attila Khan. And that's not just me being confident or bragging. That is something that the history between the two of them shows to be true. So Trevor Murdoch against anybody else would probably be a favorite because he can mix that fighting and that brawling with the wrestling. He can do all of it against a normal man. But Attila Khan is not a normal man. And Attila Khan has enough to overcome anything Trevor Murdoch's going to throw at him or anybody else is going to throw at him. So I can't wait for this. I think December 1st is going to be a wonderful, wonderful night in St. Louis.
Well, I'm just letting you know, he said today he's still sore and beat up from By Any Means Necessary. I don't know if you got wind of this or know this. This might help.
Oh, I know about it.
We got by Mike Knox.
Good old Mike Knox.
Well,
got him bad, and he said he's still recovering from it, so that might be help to you. I don't know.
I bet he is still recovering from that, isn't he?
Well, James,
it's not my fault that Trevor Murdoch can't conduct himself in a manner in public that doesn't lead to other people wanting to take some shots at him. If that's how he chooses to conduct himself in public, then so be it. Maybe he got some of his comeuppance, maybe he didn't. I don't know. That's not my fight. But that having been said, if Trevor Murdoch is focused on a guy like Mike Knox or anybody else, that's good for us. I heard you mentioned an interview earlier where he talked about Mike Knox. He talked about Dustin Rhodes. He talked about all these guys. And I suspect when you asked me that question that you were expecting me to get all mad and get all upset that he's not respecting us. He's not mentioning Attila Khan's name or whatever. But really, I'm not mad about that at all. I'm actually thrilled to hear that. Because if his focus is on Mike Knox, or if his focus is on Dustin Rhodes, or his focus is on Mike Bennett, or his focus is on any number of other guys, then that plays right into our hands. Let me give you a little history lesson, not from wrestling, but from boxing. I'm old enough to remember when Mike Tyson was the hottest thing going. When he was the world champion, he was undefeated. And for a long time, anybody could talk about was, I can't wait to see Mike Tyson fight Evander Holyfield. That was going to be the big fight. And they talked about it for months on end. And while everybody was talking about that, and while every interview they had Mike Tyson, they asked him about Evander Holyfield, and all the sports writers talked about it all the time, what happens? Mike Tyson goes to Japan, and Buster Douglas beats his brains out, and Mike Tyson loses the world title because he was focused on everything other than Buster Douglas. Well, I
Right.
hope Trevor Murdoch is focused on everybody else on planet Earth, because if he is, the truth of the matter becomes that winning the NWA World's Heavyweight title will be easier than I even thought. So go ahead
Right.
and worry about Mike Knox. Go ahead and worry about everybody else on the planet, because you got to come here December 1st. You've signed a contract. You can't get out of it, Trevor Murdoch, and Attila Khan's going to be waiting on you.
You seem to know the history by the NWA title real quick, and I'm going to ask you this. I was confused. Is it historical that the NWA world title holder issues challenges to wrestlers?
It's not common, to be honest about it. I'm not saying it's never happened, times here and there, but usually the world champion waits for the challenges to come to him, and with good reason. There's no shortage of challenges.
Absolutely.
There's always dozens of people, hundreds of people even around the country, around the world, that are trying to get their name in line for a world title match. So it's all the champion can do in most cases to keep up with those challenges and keep up with those bookings. It is rare for a world champion, a sitting world champion, to make a challenge on his own. So if Trevor Murdoch is doing that with Mike Knox or Dustin Rhodes or whoever, I'm not, that's his business, but I would say it's definitely out of the ordinary, and it would make me question exactly where his focus is in terms of defending the world championship over the long term. I'm not going to criticize him for it because, frankly, I think it plays right into Attila Khan's hands.
I thought it was strange too, to be honest with you, Travis. I was like, oh no, I've never heard Harley Race. I never heard Attila Khan, or I never even heard Travis Cook in SICW challenge a wrestler for Attila Khan's championship.
No, I would never do it. I mean, frankly, I would never do it unless it was a very rare case where there was something on the line that was commiserate with the classic wrestling title. I mean, it was just an insane amount of money or something. I can't even imagine what that would be. But ordinarily, no, you got to keep up your own challengers, and that's all you can say grace over, frankly.
The NWA championship is the only thing I can see you opening a challenge for.
And you'll notice who made the challenge, me and Attila Khan.
Absolutely.
So it worked out just like it should.
Absolutely. I am excited about December 1st. SICW Explosion All-Stars, Big Tex and Bobby D are both on the card. Am I right, gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Miranda Gordy was announced. Niles Plunk was announced. Some more people were announced. I'll get into it later when I get some more info on that. But the biggest match of them all, you notice I said that our matches for that event have been announced when the NWA's event for their Dirty Deeds 2, their tribute to Dusty Rhodes pay-per-view December 4th. Only one match, Scion versus Tyrus, their TV champion, has been announced. And that's because, like Travis said, they know to wait so they don't look silly announcing Trevor Murdoch as the world champion versus somebody on December 1st, because that might be Attila Khan and Travis Cook versus that somebody on NWA December 4th, Dirty Deeds 2. Am I right, Travis?
Absolutely. I know it'll be a quick turnaround. I know that, all of the things that happen in the background with plane tickets and hotel reservations and transportation and, quickly turning around and signing contracts and all of that will take place. That's part of it when you're the world champion. But that's a challenge that I'm looking forward to. And so December 1st, I plan on Attila Khan taking the world title, and then we'll be on the first plane out for December 4th.
And that's in Atlanta at ES Studios, December 4th, just to let you know in case you needed to make some plans right now, because we know you're yourself.
What do you have all the information for the December 1st on how they can get their tickets and where it's going to be? What times the door open?
At SICW, The doors, we're not for sure totally, but yes, I got it on the Twitter. It's on SICW Explosion. Twitter has a page now. Herb has a page for SICW Explosion. It's on there. It's on my Twitter. It's even on your page on Facebook. I shared it with you. And I shared
I know.
it with
I'm just saying for the fans. It's at the Holiday Inn, right?
Yep, the
Yeah,
Holiday
the
Inn.
Holiday Inn, if you're familiar with the St. Louis area, that's at the corner at the junction of Watson Road and Lindbergh. So
All right.
that's where it's at, and
Like the-
it's real easy to get to.
Right. So what are you going to do when you guys obtain the title? You'll have a 3 or 4 day turnaround. Are you guys going to celebrate after you win at Dirty Deeds too? Are you going to celebrate, or are you guys not going to celebrate? It's just business.
Well, Attila Khan's not a man who is much for celebrating to begin with. That's
Right.
just not his style. That's not his attitude.
Right.
Might I go somewhere and have a drink or two? I might, but I'll keep it in. I'll keep it in check, shall we say? Because I know there's business to be taken care of just 2 or 3 days later. I have my victory meals. I have my adult beverages every once in a while, but frankly, in terms of hardcore partying, you don't have the chance to do that when you're the NWA World Champion. You're on the next plane, the next city, the next town. So that's what we're focused on. I mean, this is a window in both of our careers where we can make an insane amount of money. And Attila Khan's really not a guy who's driven by money all that much. He's driven by just physical superiority over people. But I most certainly am driven by money. That's why I'm in this business. That's why I'm pursuing the NWA title. So every focus I have, even now, before we win the world title, is on how we can maximize every dollar we can get after winning the world's heavyweight title. So my focus is on December 4th, first of all, and whatever contracts we can get, lucrative contracts we can get after that.
This is the last question for you, and I understand what you just said. What is your message to Billy Corgan as Travis Cook, the manager of the NWA World Champion, the International Bounty Hunter, Attila Khan? What is your message as that man?
I don't know that I really have to have a message for him. I don't know that I really have to have a message for him. Attila Khan is going to be the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. I don't have to ask anybody's permission for that. I don't have to get anybody's approval for that. We've gotten the contract signed, which is what I wanted all along. So once that happens, the rest of it is a fait accompli. Now, what William Corgan thinks of it, I don't know. And frankly, it doesn't matter because he's going to have to deal with Attila Khan being the world's heavyweight champion. And he's going to have to deal with doing business with Travis Cook. Now, that is one of those things that can be very mutually beneficial if he handles it the right way. Or, as Herb Simmons knows, it can be very antagonistic if you don't handle it the right way. But I'm going into this with an open mind as far as Mr. Corgan's concerned. I'm not going to make any preconceived judgments about him or what I think he wants to do or how he runs an organization or whatever. I am open to everybody making absolutely as much money as they possibly can. Most importantly, Travis Cook and Attila Khan.
Guys, you have anything else to say to Travis Cook, the wonderful mastermind of PCO?
No, I think he's pretty much all said it all. You know, it's just going to come down to who's the toughest one, and we'll see on December 1st.
I agree with Tex, and Travis always says something. I mean, all of it.
Right.
I always have something, and after December 1st, I'm going to have the world heavyweight title.
There you go.
There, Bobby. Thank you for that. Travis, I happen to be one of those people that probably shouldn't publicly say that I'm behind you 100% because I am the roving reporter. But brother, I think I'm going to do it. I'm behind you 100%, and I would want you to achieve this, not only for you and Attila Khan, but for the whole SICW family. We're hot right now. We're on the map. Bring it home for us. We're counting on you right now. And I can honestly say, I don't care what any fan says, deep down inside, they want to see that NWA World strap on Hannibal TV, 8 o'clock every Sunday.
Well, I appreciate that, and I know it took some level of courage for you to come out and say that publicly. I know there's a lot of other people right now that are kind of saying that under their breath. They don't want to say it publicly because of whatever they think of things Attila Khan has done in the past, or whatever personal animus they might have towards me for reasons that aren't really important. But the bottom line is, I think, frankly, we're a lot more popular around here than people want to give us credit for. I think a lot of people admire Attila Khan and admire Travis Cook, and rightfully so. And like I say, the city of St. Louis has had some hard times in terms of professional sports recently. They just fired the manager of the Cardinals because he couldn't get it done in the playoffs. They lost another NFL team that couldn't get it done. The hockey team is falling on their face. So basically, as far as the sports fan in St. Louis goes, Attila Khan and Travis Cook are your best hope. Maybe we'll have a parade down Market Street. We need to do that because they haven't had a parade down Market Street in quite a while in St. Louis for any kind of championship. So maybe Attila Khan and Travis Cook need one.
I'm excited. Hey, I'll make, you know me, I make things happen. So I'll make that happen for you if you make that happen for us.
That'll work. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Hey, it's been a pleasure. I know I had you on hold for a long time, but this was well worth it. Trevor Murdoch, the real world heavyweight champion, versus my guy, keep it bloody, the international bounty hunter, Attila Khan, the real world heavyweight champion. The real world heavyweight champion versus the real world heavyweight champion. Who is going to be the real world heavyweight champion? Find out by getting your tickets at sicw.org, December 1st, 2021. Travis Cook says it's him, and Attila Khan. What do you guys think? Leave your comments below. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you like what we're doing. Let us know. Follow these gentlemen on Twitter and all their social media. Travis, where can people find you on social media?
Social media, best place right now is to find me on Facebook, or even just to find me on the SICW website. That's generally the best place to do it.
Okay, so he's telling you to find him under Travis Cook on Facebook, or go to SICW Explosion and find him if you have a message for him. What was it?
SICW Wrestling Explosion. You can find me there.
Right. Or if you need to get a message to him, you can reach out to me in my DMs on Twitter and even leave me a message. I will give him the message. Trust me. Okay, guys? Hey, another good episode. Texan Bobby got the last word. You guys got the last word. Go ahead, Texan.
All right. Well, I just want to throw this out there. We do have a show coming up this weekend, November 13th. It's going to be down at the East Pond Inlet Community Center. Doors open up at 6. Wrestling starts at 7. I'm sure we'll have another podcast before then to just let the fans know who's going against each other, what matches they can look forward to seeing.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm going to tentatively, card always subject to change, get to team up with someone that I used to be a big fan of myself, Billy. So come on out, watch that, see Human Wrecking Ball, Pete Madden, weaken up Attila Khan a little bit. And again, on that NWA card, we're gonna be all the SICW roster. We're gonna be pulling for Attila and hope he brings that title home.
Right.
Hey, one more thing.
But Texan, give me your social media while you're talking too.
Well, you can find me anywhere: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Jim the Big Texan Hofarth. But my final thing is go to the website and get your tickets now for December 1st. Because something like this, I guarantee you there will not be any tickets at the door. Go ahead and call, reserve, buy your tickets now.
Herb told me today 80% of the tickets are gone.
There you go.
Tables are almost sold out.
Yep. Get on there now because they will be sold out by the time December 1st rolls around.
We do have tables. Texan was at the historical event that just happened where they had the tables for $10,000 a table. I don't know the prices on these tables. You're going to have to look it up. There may be 1 or 2 left. They go faster than the seats. Trust me.
Yep.
Guys, I appreciate it. This was awesome. I hope Trevor Murdoch heard it all. I'm pretty sure he's gonna. We will get back together Thursday. You guys have the last word. I appreciate you guys. Have a good night.
Good night.